Hello and welcome to episode 20 of your monthly Leader Breeder podcast with myself and your host, Aidan Jeffrey. Leader Breeder podcast is a leadership podcast dedicated to helping you discover and develop your leadership voice in ministry, life, career, and business. And today, I'm thrilled on our final episode for 2023 to have not only one of South Africa's great social media influencers, Africa's, but internationally acclaimed social media influencer, all the way from Cape Town in South Africa. What good things can come out of Cape Town. And I want to talk to us a little bit and to our special guest today about social media influence, as I'm busy with a podcast series right now on the Exponential Leader. So I'm thrilled today to have with us live in the studio, all the way from Gordons Bay, is none other than Ryan Lombard. Come on, let's have a drum roll and welcome Ryan to the Leader Breeder podcast today. Ryan, come on, welcome, and so thrilled to have you here today. Thank you for taking the time to be. I know you're a busy man. You've got to go and record something after this as well, so you're busy. But so thrilled to have you here today. And please, introduce yourself. And for those that don't know who you are, or the millions that do know, the few that might not know who you are, tell everybody about yourself, introduce yourself, and thank you so much for being here today.
No, Pastor, and it's an honor to be here, honestly. I mean, a leader that I've always had above me, and praise God that I've had you, Pastor Aidan, throughout all the journeys as well, going to Los Angeles and so forth. So my name is Ryan Lombard, of course, as Pastor Aidan said, and I've been operating social media for many, many years now, about 7-8 years, and lived in Gordons Bay. Praise God more than ever before that I was raised in South Africa. I operate in Los Angeles, but this will forever be my home, 100%.
Well, that's amazing. And I know for those of you that don't know, Ryan is going to downplay himself a lot today because he does that. He's a very humble person. But I want to say Ryan's also part of the church here in Cape Town in CRC, and I've seen his journey as well, his social media journey. And as I said to you earlier, I'm busy with the Exponential Leader series that you might be following on Leader Breeder. I'm talking on that series specifically about digitization, the influence of social media. And to give you a bit of stats, Ryan has got a few followers. I've got a few on social media, but they're still in the tens. This is in the millions. So I'm really thrilled. I'm going to brag a bit about you now because I know you won't brag about yourself. So let me brag about you. On Instagram, Ryan's got just under 1 million followers on his Instagram account. Ryan HD Lombard, we'll talk about that a bit later. And on YouTube, Ryan has 4.6 million followers. And on TikTok, over 11.1 million followers. Now, that in itself is impressive. And those numbers might not mean much to you and I, but in the world of social media, those are impressive numbers. I mean, I was telling Ryan before we started recording that I actually watch a couple that does container renovations, been following their channel for a few years, and they're like on 1.6 million, and they're supposed to be influential people on social media, and he's on 4.6. So I want to talk a little bit about this today because we can chase these numbers. We can think that, you know, it's all about social media or people liking me or liking, trying to find external validation on numbers. But I'm bragging a bit about your following because we're talking a little bit about today. And I've titled today's episode, for those of you that don't know, Leading the Social Media Revolution, Insights from a Social Media Influencer. So before we get going, and we talk a little bit about social media and the influences, the pros and the cons of it, tell us a little bit about the individual, Ryan Lombard, before the influencer, Ryan Lombard. And I want to take us on a bit of a journey because I think people, they'll know you from social media, your content. We're going to talk about your content as well, the creativity. I call him the Jim Carrey of South Africa because he's got that kind of personality. He's a unique individual. And talk to us a little bit about the individual, Ryan. Where do you come from, raised, and then up to the place where your journey into social media. When did you decide to actually say, well, that's what I want to start, playing in that field? Tell us a little bit about the individual. Who's Ryan Lombard?
Well, like I said, from Gordons Bay, I've lived there. I was born in Stellenbosch, and as Pastor Aidan says, of course, people can hear my American accent. The furthest thing that they think is I'm from Stellenbosch. I mean, goodness, with Buddha, everyone is there, and they're going to study there is fantastic. But I've lived in Gordons Bay all my life, and since roughly about 2017, about the hype when Logan Paul was doing so well on social media and all that. And then I jumped on Instagram. And then the first time I went to Los Angeles was in 2018. But more so when the vision started is, I still remember this. It was roughly actually halfway through 2016. I got this idea. I was prim at the hostel in my college. And then I just watched this content and immediately just got the idea. I looked at the price of a camera, and then I told my buddies Jared and Dylan. I still told them, guys, we got to meet up. Go to Spur. I brought my laptop, everything, professional setup. We didn't even use the laptop at all. We just ended up chatting about it. But then that's one of those, along the journey of it all, you learn that you don't necessarily need to you shouldn't attach your dream to other people, because people will ultimately fail you. We love them. We act in unity with people, always 100%, but cursed is the man who trusts in man. Best is the one who puts their hope in the Lord and whose trust is in him. But the thing is, Jared, one of them, he still walks that journey with me, and he's helping me now with the video afterwards. When we're done here, we're going to film. Right. And then throughout that, in 2018, first time I went to Los Angeles because I had a vision for it. I started out with a vision, started out on Instagram, created that content, and then TikTok was 2019. And that was at the hype of it. More so in 2020, obviously, it boomed because of COVID. Don't want to necessarily only attach to that why it boomed, but sure, I mean, proof is in the pudding.
Sure.
And so that content started always with that relatable Vine sketch content, because Vine was an app that I can't necessarily recall at all, even from personal experience, from when that app was invented, but I know it was taken down roughly 2016, 2017. Consisted of 6-second videos, relatable content. It's not shout through the roof funny or Jim Carrey funny per se, but it's funny because you can look, wow, that's happened to me before. When you bump your pinky toe or stuff like that and you make it very, very dramatic. And so with that, I always looked at that. I absolutely love that. And then bit for bit, you grow with your content. And then if I can look back now, see you cringe in your skin when you look at the content you started out with. Oof.
Well, that's the same with me when I listen to some of my sermons. I think to myself, how do people listen to that stuff? But it's the grace of God.
Amen. Yes, yeah. Because then from the journey in Los Angeles, I took a buddy with me first. And my dad was quite teary the first time I went up. And I mean, it's very understandable. First time his son is actually now going overseas. And that I want to shine a light on, very much so, because in the midst of a culture that's not even just, say, closed off, but very much against those who operate in the realm of social media, not a business where a person wants to start selling a product and then go into social media, of which if you do not do that now, you are going to go bankrupt, full stop. That's how it is. But those like myself now that create content on there, they very much alienate you within the country of South Africa and within that culture of it. But that's also attached within the morality that's very strong, but the capacity to dream is not very much there. And
hold that thought for a moment. You're in LA at the moment. We're going to get there, and I want to bring you back a little bit to talk to us a little bit about we talk about the journey in. So you saw influences that influenced you, and you decided to get involved in that. And I want to get to the LA part because it's important, and I think for people to understand how the creative economy has helped you to grow in reach and influence, because you're called a social media influencer. But talk to us a little bit about the initial sort of the challenges you faced when you're a South African and you've chosen to, like I say, speak in an American accent. That's become how we know you now. And initially, what are some of the battles, the criticisms when your authenticity? So, because you are authentic. I know you personally, the people that watch you on your social media platforms, they see the Ryan that puts out the content, but I know you from a personal and the content. And I think you are a gifted young individual, and I often tell you, I don't know why you pick on the middle brother so much, because that guy, he just takes a lot of flack all the time, but it's true all the time what you say. So tell us a little bit about some of the battles as a leader, because you're a social media influencer and a leader in that field. What are some of the things when society wants to change you and tell you can't? And, you know, or you say cringe factor when you watch your content, but sometimes the pressure from society to say, you know, this is all vanity, or, you know, you're wasting your time. Or if somebody's listening today and they want to start to make content and they start to put it out there and to see themselves, and that, you know, you hear your voice for the first time, think, do I really sound like that? Because even when I started preaching and I used to hear my voice, I go, do I really sound like that? Because just your voice. But the pressures of social media, we'll speak a bit later about, you know, the negatives of social media. I can change people, but where were some of the pressures? What did you have to overcome to stay authentically you? Because you are uniquely you. You're Ryan Lombard, and you have a unique gifting, and that's what's causing your content to be so viral because of it. How were some of the battles where you had to face in your journey to get to this point initially in the early days when you try things, trial and error doesn't work? And for somebody that's, you know, want to bring their business onto social media or their own gift or their own skill as you have in your own way, what are some of the things you tell them to stay true to themselves when it comes to authenticity and staying true to yourself? Because society always wants to change us. And what did you say to that?
Well, the thing is, when I started out, I mean, till this day, regardless of when you get to the top of your field, people say that, oh, now they jump on the bandwagon. Now everyone's applauding you.
We always knew Ryan. We always knew Ryan's going to make it.
Yeah, 100%. And I always tell you how I knew him, how I helped him here and there. And when I started out, yes, throughout the journey of especially being in college, and being part of the SRC, the Senior Representative Council there, 9 of us were girls. And it was awesome, fantastic. They were great, but there got a lot of flack as well. First year of college was great, but then it was a massive transformation because towards the second year is when I actually got that dream, and towards pursuing it then in TikTok. And that's when it led up to me first with Purposeful going to Los Angeles, but then within the SRC, there were 2 individuals that always gave me flack. Always. It's almost they would visualize taking me by the throat, and they would hate it when I would speak in the American accent. They would loathe it. Sometimes you would first shrug it off like just joking, but then you actually, oh wait, okay, whoa, this guy gonna kill me in my sleep. And so that, and then my roommate turned on me, and I'm not gonna name names, of course not, but with that, being at college, people would always walk past, and this was in the midst of also when, just after I concluded with my vlogging. Thankfully, I actually stopped with that. But with that, it started out. And then people would walk out and they would mimic you, and they would make fun of you and so forth. And I started out early, and you shouldn't pay any mindfulness to it. People can say all these things, but it does hit you. And because many times the knife in your back will be a familiar one. That's right. And it's a sad reality in our world.
And who are some of your supporters in those years to keep you have a team of people around you, family, friends? Who are the people that sort of kept on encouraging you, saying, come on, you can do this? Do you have those people? You also had your detractors, but your supporters, faithful people, good people around you to help you to keep going?
From the start, my dad.
Right.
100%. That's why I said I wanted to shine a light on him as much as absolutely possible. Not going beyond and blowing, like Pastor always says, don't want to blow smoke up anyone's butt, but with him, he always, in the midst of a culture that alienates anyone who pursues something like this, especially in the beginning, of which where you knew, of course, they always say behind my back, say, no, you should get a real job and all these things. Right. Within the family, they would say those things. And my dad, with the vlogs, where we only get maybe 100, 200 views at most, barely any engagement at all, which is even worse. And I would be way more outlandish than any of these sketches I do now. Right. And there's no ROI on it. And so then he would still pay for this to get this prop or this to take us here, take us there. And he went through so much effort every time because albeit he did not necessarily always see what I saw.
I understand,
Yeah, it's the vision that God gives you, and only you're going to see it, but he believed in it as well with me. In the midst of that culture that was very much against him, and people telling him, go tell your child to get a real job and all this, I can eternally be grateful for him for that.
Well, I know your dad as well personally, and I understand being from an older generation, we Gen Xers, your dad and I, we both of the similar age. And it's true. I think as the series I'm doing now, the Exponential Leader podcast series that I'm doing apart from the Leader Breeder Monthlies, I'm speaking specifically there about beware of the expert or the immune system that kicks in. And it's prevalent to our generation because we don't understand digitization or technology per se. We use it now, but our way of understanding life was get a job, get a degree. And again, there's nothing wrong in getting a job and getting a degree. But there's a new economy that's emerged, and I've been speaking about it in the Leader Exponential Leader podcast series. That the 3 economies that people need to understand, and maybe I just touch on that for a few moments to get people to understand what we're trying to talk about today with yourself and how you've now been able to, through all the trials and tribulations, etch out an actual career. And we'll talk about LA. I said we'll go there, but a little bit later, because it's important to understand that social media will now open up a whole new world for you. And that support team, as much as few as what it was when no one believed in you, you're going to need a very strong team to keep you grounded on the way forward. But the 3 economies that the world understands is the producer economy, which I've been speaking about in our series, the consumer economy, and then the creator economy. And I think what people need to shift in their mindsets is you are now a player in that creator economy. So the producer economy is the economy where people were making factories, trains, automobiles, cars, the Henry Fords. As a result of that, roads started to emerge. People could make, produce products. It was a producer economy. Then you had the consumer economy, late 80s, that went into malls. The consumer became king. We started seeing, when I was younger, we used to go to a place called Town, which is, where's that? It's just the place where the stores were, the shops were, and it was one main road and all the stores were on either side. Then they started to build malls, the concepts of, people gathering in one big place. And then online shopping started becoming more prevalent, 2000 plus. And then we started to see the emergence of the Apple smartphone. We started to see online stores. We started to see online shopping, Amazon, all these things. And the consumer became king. And everything was around the consumer, customer care departments. And we started to see that become prevalent. And then 2015, up until current, we saw a shift. We started to see that the software and the technology platforms became more and more prevalent. So this creator economy started to emerge. And that's when you started getting involved in social media. But I think it's important for listeners and the viewers to understand that, because what we need to understand is we're not doing away with the physical. You still need a physical place to record your videos. You need physical locations. But yet, when you create that content, you then put it onto a digital platform. And the eyeballs that are now on screens, because I watched some of your video, again, you're going to downplay yourself, but I saw one of your videos, I think it had 87.5 million views. Now, for an average businessman out there, to get 87.5 million people to come into their business and to engage with them in some way in the physical world, it's a lot harder, I think maybe even impossible to get those numbers. But social media opens up this whole world where you'll tell us, where are some of your main subscribers or main views? Where do you get most of your views around the world? Tell us a little bit about the Ryan Lombard. I want to talk a little bit about your content and about how you get to that point and how you create your content and how you actually put your things together and where you get your ideas from. Because I told you, you've got this unique gift in you that what you see is what we all live every day. I've asked you before as well, what do you call those videos where you say, where the one guy says, please shut up, and you keep repeating, those things they go viral. I can watch them a few times because they're very good. So I want to know where you get your content from. But talk to us a little bit about the journey of yours to, when I talk about the creator economy, the ability to start to generate income, because your views are now at a point where they start to remunerate you for eyeballs on screens, where in the old economies it was feed through stores, and that's still there today. But there's an additional economy now. The producer economy is still there. You have to produce your content. We consume your content, but somebody had to create that content to put it onto a digital platform. So tell us a little bit about your viewership. Where do you get your viewership from, for people to understand the influence of social media and how it breaks barriers and boundaries?
And now with that, it's just as Aaron said, that 87 million one, most of my views do actually now come from YouTube. One would think it's from TikTok, because the thing is, each platform is different. Right. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. One thing, the hard truth is the fact is that TikTok as a platform, great, but it doesn't care about you in terms of when you promote your own product, right, in terms of when you put it in the face of your consumer. What needs to happen is that you need to be as organic as absolute possible. Okay. That's why just with my newest brand deals, they say don't put any mention of the brand in the caption, not at all. Don't say go to the link this, just put a link in your bio. Be as natural and organic as you can, include it. Don't even say in the video, click link in bio, so that it's more digestible for the audience. Okay. So that the algorithm won't per se pick up on that, okay, no, it's a personal brand. Now we're gonna push it, because more eyeballs are gonna actually wanna watch this content for entertainment purposes, not just for conversion. And so with YouTube, my most viewed video is just under or over 200 million. And TikTok is roughly about 80 million. And Instagram, I think, is roughly about 80 million as well. And with YouTube provides a phenomenal conversion. Wow. When it comes to products. When you sell, that's why I've worked with this brand that I'm going to be working with now again 5 times. And every time we create a video for them, together with obviously their script ideas that they want to do because they're the advertiser, the conversion is tremendous. It's typically a conversion would be about 2 to 3%. Of the likes now, and that's less than the views. Mine with that one was about 20% and upward, which was fantastic. So you need to be as organic as possible while still utilizing the product and making it very visual in the product itself.
Right. I want us to, the viewers and the listeners to understand that, because listen to what you're saying. Days gone by, we would go to an ad agency as a company, and we would pay them money to sit in a studio and then come up with a concept for us. They would then pitch an idea to us. They would then make that with actors and then pitch it back to us, and then we then push it out on behalf of our company or our business. Was the old model of doing, but like an advert on TV or whatever. Now the creative economy is you actually are the actor in your own world. You are the one creating the content and then endorsing other products around it. And if you think about, just say the one video of 200 million, let's assume there was a product endorsement in that. To get 200 million, eyeballs to on a normal ad you put out on is very hard. And I want people to understand that that's what the creative economy is. It's this ability to use your authenticity, what's in your heart, that you can create in a creative way. And as a result of that, people are willing to partner with you and so content can be created around your authenticity. They add then their product, if it fits there, and in a creative way, they say, because we are getting 200 million people per se on that one video of yours now, not every video, but 200 million views, we're getting more return on our investment on that one video that you made, but you authentically being you. It wasn't like some sales ad a company had to make it. And that's the creative economy. And I think I want the businesses, companies to understand that. I was watching a video recently about Red Bull. And they were saying that Red Bull, if you watch I didn't know that, but they said all that Red Bull does, there's not one Red Bull logo, name, or a can on any of the Red Bull marketing. They've just got downhill skiing and skydiving, and they've got just adventure. Their whole platform is just because the tagline to Red Bull is Red Bull gives you wings. Now, we're not being endorsed by Red Bull today, but I'm saying it's amazing that they don't use the actual product and try and shove it down your throat. They tell you what is the result of using this product, and it's going to result in adventure. It's going to result, and this is the shift in people's minds, because we're used to the old thing of, we've got this product we think you need, and we're going to come and knock on your door and say, do you want to buy this product, like this bottle of water? It's like, well, we've got this bottle of water, and we think you need this bottle of water. Here's a bottle of water, it costs this. And the person says, but I'm not thirsty at the moment. But when you use the creative economy, you're starting to go, it's fun, it's humorous in your case, it's adventurous in other people's cases, and as a result of drinking this water, that's the benefit of it. Now they go, I think I should try that water because I want to also live a life like that. And I think that's the shift in the creative economy. I said to you can see people's sense of humor. My children, they've all got different sense of humor. So when we send reels to each other as a family, it's amazing the different humor that come out, but it's because someone was able to express their humor through creativity. And in the past, you used to tell a joke, and then we laugh at the joke verbally. Now you can visually see the joke or the nuances of their. And I think it's phenomenal. I love celebrating people's authenticity. And I want to say to you as well is that. Do you first tell me about your viewership again? So where is you live in South Africa, but where the majority of your eyeballs on screens coming from? What countries? Anything? I mean, what's the percentage in South Africa versus the rest of the world?
About well over 60% from the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, between 40 and 60 through all the platforms. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are all from the United States. For a while, it was very weird. Where was it from the other day? It was from the Philippines. Odd that the algorithm went there, but that was my large viewership in the very beginning. And I got a lot of direct messages from people there, obviously in support of the content, but then it shifted to the United States. And that percentage has a large influence also that I recently learned on brand deals as well. Okay. And then they say, okay, maybe where you live, South Africa, say mine now, for example, YouTube, South African audience is about 8%, but then they look at, okay, but your most is United States, but how much? It can be 40, but no, then they're looking for, it needs to be 70. Then they would actually endorse you. So it's small, intricate things that they need. That's why YouTube always focus so much. I mean, one goes into YouTube analytics. It is one of the most detailed analytics on the app that you can possibly get. And so I'm thankful that most of my audience is from there, but also that a lot of them is from our country, of course. And when it came to that intentionality of me doing the American accent and so forth, it wasn't an accident. I did it intentionally in the very beginning because I love my country, 100%, but I cringe within my skin when I hear a thick, and I mean a thick, South African accent English amongst American actors in the TV. I'm happy with their success, go upward and onward, but it's just a thing with me. I didn't always like it. And then when I started speaking the American accent, I spoke far more fluently. Even in college, when I did my orals and my presentations, I did it far more fluently, and I always blindsided people when American. And then that really helped me throughout it all.
I think we need to help the people that do all the stats on the top 10 South African influencers on social media, because in many of the platforms you don't appear there because they think you're American. So we maybe just remind them you are actually South African. But that's unique to you again. So I think people shouldn't be listening to this and saying, well, to be a success on social media, I must change my accent. But in your case, it was your authenticity, and you're able to pull that, and we know you like that today, but initially it might have been difficult to stay in that channel because people want to bring you back to, but what are you being? You're being silly, you're being stupid. But it's brought you great success, and I think you need to continue down that road. Talk to us a little bit about your content, because you've got unique content, and like I said, where do you get your content ideas from? Do you have a team of people that help you think it up? Is it you that thinks it up? Do you bounce it off people? Because we'll talk a little bit later about your agencies. Now you obviously got agents that are helping you and assisting you and things like that. But initially when you started out, because we talk about authenticity, because sometimes people say, I want to make a career out of social media. I want to be a social media influencer. But if you're not authentic, that drive will die out. It'll fizzle out, because you might have a desire for a week or 2 or 3, but if it's not who you are, it'll eventually. But you just keep coming up with this very creative content. So tell us a little bit about your storylines. Where do you get your content from, and how has it evolved over the years? And do you sort of see what people like and then go in that direction, or how do you go about your content creation?
With that, it's a combination of so many different things as well. I mean, obviously you do research. I mean, people tell you that you're going to do research and so forth, that they're lying to you, honestly, because research involves you speaking to an individual and going online, not just purely doing research online, but then it's personal experiences, and then you look at memes, of course, online, but you don't, just like other creators. With TikTok and Reels on Instagram and YouTube now, of course, it has an audio attached to the bottom, of course. And every single video has an audio attached. And every one of those videos that Pastor Aaron mentioned, those thoughts that'll snap your mind in half videos, I've made about roughly 21 of those videos. You put that to rest.
Where do you get that content from?
That is research, but then also you don't copy and paste. That's the thing. And then I used to brainstorm with a buddy of mine, but then more so on my own. Then you just put your own twist on it. Then you actually think deeper into that idea and you apply it to something else. If you can, not always that you can apply that same idea to something else. But then with that, each and every one of them have roughly about 10 to 15,000 reuses of the audio on TikTok alone. And that's of people that attach the audio and people who...
And then mimic, they act themselves, they use your voice.
Yes, 100%. But that's just that I know of. And people that usually don't give credit. I've had tons of people block me when people tag me. I didn't comment anything, but they tag me and they say, give him credit, give it every single day. Hundreds and hundreds of mentions of my name, give him credit, and those people then block you. But what happens is those people that do lip sync content of other creators, I'm not sorry to say it, it's just like that. If you blatantly copy someone else's content like that, you will only grow to a certain point. That authenticity is key.
Right.
That's the thing, because people will call you out like that if you're copying someone, especially on YouTube. That's the thing. People always say, like, the videos I still watched in the very beginning as guidance. Just like David Dobrik, all these guys, of course, don't follow them, of course not, but you use these top creators as a guide, like Mr. Beast and so forth. You don't copy them. You see with titles and timing of scenes, you use it as a guide to be able to get success because they paved the way. And then with that, people can call you out like that if you do that, 100%.
But your content, so now tell us a little bit about, because what I always find intriguing is how you act all these different parts, and my brain goes on tilt and I go, you said this now, but how do you the next scene you cross over to what we see on your platform is maybe a mother or the middle brother or the, do you do them separately, or do you do them straight off each other, or do you memorize it? Then because you got to try and pick up the same. Sometimes your intensity, now you got to try and pick up their response a little bit later. It's a gift. I mean, how do you do that? Do you plan it out, or do you in the moment, do you feel it, or is it something you actually, I'm going to do this part and that part? You have to give away all your secrets, but I'm saying, how do you edit it later, then put it together? So, because it's ingenious to play all those different roles. And when I watch your stuff, it's like, I know, I can see it's you, but I believe it's the mother, because you're playing a role. It's just amazing how your mind works when you put that little red cloth on your head, and it's like, I'm going, it's how do you piece that together? Tell us a little bit about that. How much time does it take to put into one video? So when we see a video for a few seconds or whatever, however length it is, how much time has gone into that from the start to the finish, what did you say is the average time span?
When you look at it, if one can put my content into different categories of ideas, is now the school, the student and the teachers and so forth, and then you get the oldest, middle, and youngest child, then those thoughts videos. The ones that would take the longest is the oldest, middle, and youngest child ones, because those are become more and more throughout the years, more intricate, way more. You need to be creative, because the student teacher one, not the thoughts one. I'll get onto that now, actually, because a concept like that, people can attach themselves to the previous success.
Well, I think people are itching to know, will the middle brother ever get vengeance at some point, or is he just going to keep butchering the poor guy all his life? Okay, we won't answer. They'll have to watch your channel to see that. Okay.
We like to give them hope.
So you were saying yes?
No.
Different genres?
Yes. Now with that, the oldest, middle, youngest child ones take the longest. And because the standard rises constantly. I mean, the content that was released, but more so went viral. And people knew TikTok for this kind of content. 2019 is different. 2020, different. 2021, different. And so as it's grown, now standard grows, but I make a decision to have it go like that. That's why it takes longer. As you propel higher, the more eyes will be eager to watch you fall. And just like it's always said, now you're on top, and now some people want to rest and so forth. I say, no, now it's 3, 4, 5 times more on the grind for it, and the grunt work that people don't see. Now, you don't necessarily always post every single day, because the intricacy of the ideas goes beyond now actually, okay, wait, I created the script. It's about 50 seconds long. You can visualize it in your head. Because I'm a person who thinks from start to finish. And with each character, like the oldest child now, I would do all his scenes first, and then the mom, all her scenes, and so forth. So you can
piece them together.
Exactly, yeah. So
but how do you remember what she must say then when you did it? That for me is ingenious. I think it's brilliant. I don't know how you do that. Is it just you just remember it? Or?
100%. Yeah, you need to visualize it in your head. Like I said, with me, it's been.
And do you do your own editing, or you got a team of editors?
Yes, I edit myself. No.
Wow. And so what did you say? Is that, let's assume today we start with a thought process. Let's say you've got the thought, you've got the idea. Till when we see it on social media, what will be that length of period on average? I mean, I understand it differs, but I mean, what did you say on average will be the time span?
The hardest thing is developing the script. And so then once the script is developed, I can film, depending, like now where I need a combat bow for something and you need specific props, go to specific locations. But it would be, once the script is developed, then it would take a day for me to be able to film it. Just a full day. Okay. And then
on one video we see.
Yes, 100%. Okay. But then that's just the filming.
All those, that's all those parts, the mother,
yes.
Okay.
100%. Then the editing can take, it will, even now, obviously you get better and better with everything through the experience thereof. Not like a job where they say you need 10 years of experience when you're 18, but with this, even now, it will not take me shorter than 2 to 3 hours of editing, sometimes 5 hours. And so, but then the thing is, how one's mind works is, as you get into this and that creativity of it, you filmed it, and then you think, wait, something just released, a meme just released, and this audio, it works so perfect now. Actually, now I'm going to refilm it. So there's sometimes reshoots, and sometimes something will work better, but there's always once your video is posted, your content is out there, then a week later, something else is released where you thought it could be better. Okay. Your content is never perfect. Nothing's ever perfect.
Sure. And have you ever taken a video and posted it and pulled it off and fixed it and sent it back? Or once it's done, and you create another one? Or do you ever do that? Fix up something that's already been there? Okay. Is it not worth it?
No, once it's out there, it's out there. 100%. All right.
So if you get a new idea, it's like maybe the next try and get a place for that thought later on.
Exactly. Sometimes I would think that you create 2 separate scripts, but then you can actually combine this in one. But then you must discipline your mind and saying, no, put it into 2 separate ones, because then you can generate a further route down and actually make a full-length video of it.
And the age group of your viewers on your videos, what does the algorithms tell you more or less the age you're attracting? What kind of age of eyeballs are watching your content?
Young children, just like most of my audience is actually between 13 and 18. Wow. And then second is that 13 and younger. And the third is actually people 50 and older, which is fantastic.
See, I watch your content. So it's me. I'm watching your content.
Thank you, Pastor.
So tell me, I want to know, the school teacher, and that is also just you think up the content. Is it some of your school experiences maybe, or do you find stuff and add, push and pull? Because I see 1999 and 1888 and 11, which is it? So I was saying to myself, that's actually true. What is it? It makes you think some of your content. But that's amazing. I think you're very creative, and again I say it's your authenticity. It's what makes it very viewable. It's like it's natural, and the way in which you piece it together. Tell me a little bit about if somebody is listening today and they say, I want to consider entering the creator economy, at what point do you monetize? How does earning income from this content work? I understand because people have big dreams, but then the stuff doesn't go viral, and it's like, I know you're getting millions of views now. Now people might associate it with millions of dollars and millions of rands because they think that's how it goes. So I don't want you to reveal any money right now or income, but you're making a sustainable living, obviously, on social media. How does a person go about monetizing this world? Would you say to somebody, use your authenticity? It could be a business advice, could be coaching, could be you playing in the sort of comedy sort of humor sector, which with a lot of life lessons in that. But I say, how would you tell somebody to go about if you want to monetize something? Is there a sort of amount of viewers, is amount of followers? Or can you start from the start and say, I'm going to monetize and see where it goes? How do you make money off this thing?
Now with YouTube's the only platform within our country, at least, as well, and outside of America, that pays through views. Because before YouTube, I was paid through brand deals only with TikTok and Instagram. And so with TikTok pays through views, the $2 billion creator fund, but it's only within the borders of America.
Okay.
And when I was there, I thought, I had a door in, amazing. But no, you need a social security number, American tax number, so forth. And the payment, obviously, through YouTube is very good with views and so forth. Less, obviously, for shorts because it's shorter videos. But
so do you get paid on shorts and views on both sides?
Yes, okay. Yes, 100%.
And obviously, amount of views versus algorithms equates it back to US dollar cents, and
exactly.
You can convert it into rands. Okay?
100%. But there's a threshold. I cannot precisely remember. I do not want to incorrectly quote it now, but it's a specific number of hours of viewership. But I think about 1,000 hours, or I think more than that, every day or every 12 hours, and then other criteria for you to be able to be part of the YouTube partnership program. And then you can start monetizing your content. You can't do it from the beginning because getting 200 or 300 views does not monetize anything because it's a specific rate that each creator or industry, at least, that you're in. Like financial advice, it's the industry and the category that has the highest rate on YouTube, and it's ridiculous. It is a ridiculous amount of money they make giving financial advice and so forth. Then there's a rate, say, for example, $3, and then it's now $3 every 1,000 views. And it's very accurate every time with it. So yeah, most of that comes through only with YouTube with me.
So again, if you look at, I think business owners that are listening to this today, we think it's got to be sort of a musical gift or acting gift or something to make money off the stuff, or Mr. Beast. I mean, he blows up things and, digs himself into a coffin for 2 days or whatever it is. But that's not what the creator economy ultimately is about. That's about taking your physical knowledge that's in your head and your world and digitizing that and giving either a service or knowledge. A physiotherapist can give you, sort of exercise or sort of medical advice, and that can get views, and that people can start to follow that content. I mean, I watched, like I told you, this young couple that I watched a few years ago. I enjoy sort of building and renovating and things like that. So I saw them. They bought these 2 containers. They were both work in the restaurant industry, went to some place in America, and then you follow their journey. They literally had 2 green, like 12-foot containers, and now they've got a full house, 2 kids. They've bought another. So it's like watching a series on Netflix or a series on a television channel, but it's just a YouTube channel. I know one of my family members watched somebody on a boat. This couple, they travel the world, and they just show you their life story, and that becomes the ability to create income or views. And I think people need to understand that's the creator economy. It's not just anymore a physical building with 4 walls and people come through your 4 walls and they do a sale with you. You can now take the content or the knowledge you've built up in those 4 walls, digitize it, put it out there, and eyeballs all around the world. I was speaking to one of the MECs in one of our provinces, the financial MEC, and I said to her, was a lady, and I said to her, tell me a little bit about how do you guys invest money into, because we've got the highest youth unemployment rate in the world. 62% is our youth unemployment rate. The next country below that is 30-something. So we've got this huge challenge that how do we get our country our kids to find work? And that's why I'm very outspoken, and why I also feel your voice is going to play a big role, not just in the fact that you're a great innovator and a great influencer, but the fact that a person in South Africa can take their content and convert that into eyeballs on screens from people around the world can watch their authenticity. And I spoke to this lady, and I said to her, how do you guys, and she said, well, they get people that come and pitch business ideas at the department. then they have to decide to invest funds into that. And I said, how much of that is really making a dent in the work environment for our country? Because, I mean, every country's got its challenges with regards to, the government must create work and jobs. And she said to me, she said, yeah, the sad part is that they do invest money, but the money never either gets to where it should be, or the idea that fizzles out, or they couldn't have enough, longevity to make it work. And I said to her, have you ever thought about, because obviously it's alive in me, I said to her, have you ever thought about investing in the digital and the creative side in our kids? And I've spoken to you about this before, about creating what I call, creative classrooms, where we invest into classrooms in schools that have got digital setups, like a studio like this, a small studio where kids can come during school hours and actually create content and stimulate the authenticity through guided channels, put that onto platforms, and the people around the world can watch their content, and they can monetize that, and people can start earning income without having to have a 9-to-5 job, as a way in which to help with the unemployment rate in our country. And I think it's something we must drill down that a bit further, because look at you. You're such a great example of somebody that's just works hard. Yes, your father's helped you, but you still had to make it work. You've got to go and make the video. You've got to edit the video. And I think if we can invest in this young generation to help them to understand that their creativity is now able to earn them income, as opposed to having a fully fledged degree. Now, again, for those listening that have got degrees today, I'm not knocking a degree. I've got a PhD as well. I passed high school with difficulty, so I also have a qualification. But I want to encourage people today. That's the reason that I also invited you on here, is to encourage people to say, there is a career option in creativity. Yeah. There is a world. Tell us a little bit about, as we draw to a close here, tell us a little bit about where you are now. You've got all these followers, and now you've attracted agents. How is it? You don't have to divulge too much on that neither, but I'm saying, have you now been approached by agents from around the world, and they now work with you, and they open up more doors to you? You were telling me you've been invited to some place, so if you can share that. But I just want to talk a little bit about the doors that open up now, because now you're an influencer, and you're an outspoken Christian as well. So you haven't compromised your faith in so many ways, which is, I suppose, one of the negatives could happen to somebody that's been influenced by the world. But talk to us a little bit about that. Agencies, what happens now? I mean, you obviously your influence will grow, and with that, remuneration will obviously increase over the time. How have you got involved with agencies, or how does that work at the moment for you?
Well, my agencies, I think I've been through, 3 agencies. They've all been very good to me, 100%. But then I'm with a new agency now. Again, I won't disclose names, but she's fantastic. She's born again in the midst of a world that's the last place I expected it to happen. Same thing with that network of individuals for support. Last place I expected, we filmed at a $100 million house, and he came to me with his brother, and now he's one of my absolute closest friends. He operates very well. He's the streamer on TikTok that brings the highest income for the Minecraft side of it in the world. He does very well, God-fearing. He loves Pastor Art. And with the agency, they do very well because you get non-exclusive and exclusive. And the non-exclusive ones means that obviously now if you get a brand deal, you go to the brand, then they only pay you. They don't have to go through and give your agent now the fee. But an exclusive one, which is the preferred one, I mean, everyone has their own opinion, to each their own, of course, what they want to have. But with me, I choose to have an exclusive one, because in that world, it's cutthroat. Even with my manager, she's got a lot of walls on her. And it's very understandable. The thing is, because she's used to people climbing over her to get to the top and stabbing her in the back and in her face many times just to get what they want financially. It's greed and greed and greed. And so exclusively means that every single brand, whether you get it or not, goes through them first. They take the fee and they take care of you. They make sure you get what you're worth. But therefore, you can't do it blindly and just leave it in their hands. You must recognize your worth. Now, I sternly tell brands now, saying that it's either this much or nothing. Simple as that. I'm not being arrogant. I'm not being egotistical by saying that. One must just recognize what you're able to deliver, and what obviously your manager tells you now. You deserve this much, this, that, but don't let it go to your head. It's the same thing with views. People have 10 million, 100 million followers, and they think they deserve 10 million views. No. You only
Content's got to be good.
Exactly. You need to keep up your consistency and your quality. Make sure your quality is consistent, and that your consistency is upkept quality. If not, doesn't matter if you have 100 million views, then you only get 1,000. Simple as that.
Sure. And as a Christian, second last question I want to ask you. As a Christian, you're very outspoken, being a member of the church at CRCO as well. in Cape Town and part of the vision for many years. Tell me a little bit about your because you understand living a life of purpose. This can all become vanity, it can all become about you eventually, which can happen to many people that aren't grounded. How's your faith and how are you using your platform for your purpose to influence people? I've seen you before be very outspoken. You've done videos about speaking about Jesus unashamedly. Obviously, that will have ripple effects in the world out there, but talk to us a little bit about your faith and how you've managed to use your creativity to also impact God's kingdom and as a purpose in your life.
That's why I started doing what I do, with a vision. That's the thing, because then you let go of this attachment which is growing in. It's a virus that is latching onto young people's lives and their identity now, where the identity crisis is also running rampant, where likes, comments, shares, and followers. I mean, that's why Instagram removed the like feature in it all. And so then they get their identity in there. And with me, all other influencers now, eventually you'll see them at some point saying, I'm going to take a break, guys, from my mental health and that. Yes, take care of your mental health. Do what you got to do. But you'll never catch me making a video like that, ever. You can hold me to that right now. Because when I post a video, I put it down. I wouldn't look at it again when I post another video, when I would by chance look at it again. Of course, you look at it sustained because it's your bread and butter, of course. And you want to increase. You'll be a lender, not a borrower of nations. But the thing is, my identity is not attached to that. I started with a vision and with a dream, because I'm very big on pulling the dream out of people's hearts that God planted in there. A God-given dream with God-honoring results. And that's the thing is, so when I go to LA, now I'm not planned per se from the beginning to go speak on a stage and so forth. I mean, who am I? But of course, if I can, I will. And it's going towards that. But it's little things when you count on your apartment, when my agency takes me to events, when they take me to the award shows, when we go to VidCon, when these little kids now in South Africa as well, when they recognize you, I'm not going to be oblivious to that at all. Young kids do recognize me. And then I go on my one knee, and whether it's 5 words or 50 words, you discern in the moment. Don't overstate it every time and just babble on. Just my dad says, and so forth. Don't be religious, but I leave them with something. I say, hey, what's your name? How old are you? What school do you go to? What's your dream? And so forth. Then you see a light up in them, and you give them a hug, and then you speak in the moment. You discern now when you speak about Jesus with them, you say, what church do you go to? And so forth. And you, especially in Los Angeles at VidCon, this year more than ever before, young children are more under attack, that people do not understand really how kids are vulnerable now. And young children is the larger audience of any and all creators. It doesn't matter what they say. And they disregard that. And the more evil part of it is actually they do recognize it and they completely just toss it aside and say, I just create what I want to create. But more so it's attached to their ego, and they just do it for the profit of it all. Right. And with me, attaching Jesus to it is why I do it. Simple as that. And people may say now that I'm just saying it. When it comes to it, you're not really going to let go of it. No, if it wasn't for the vision, I'd do it for Jesus full in front. I mean, on Instagram, I'm very bold for Christ. I lose roughly 5,000 to 10,000 followers a day, but I gain 5 to 6 times that every single day. And my buddies in LA, they would categorize me now. I said, what? You're just controversial. You are just controversial. And I said, why? So I'm just outspoken. That's not controversial. I'm just a sane person from freaking 10 years ago. And so stand up with that. And certain things I comment, things I say, I don't condemn, of course not. Having constant leadership like Pastor Aiden and Pastor Ed above me, always and forever, is a key thing as well. Having that accountability and then downward that responsibility towards the dream God's put in your heart to pursue, because that's how he seeks to use you and to operate in the extraordinary. That's why I always go back to LA. When I left LA in 2021, ironically, is when I encountered my greatest hardship then at that time. I spoke to Pastor Aiden on the phone many times, and in that hardship of the greatest, I encountered the greatest opportunity as well. Wow. When I left, I almost cried. I did not want to leave Los Angeles because there, the standard at which they operate is a whole other level, but the morality is almost in the trash. That's the thing. And here it's the opposite. Morality is very strong, but the capacity to dream, people tend to rather want to settle, camp. And people really need to step out of their comfort zone, because if we do not boldly step out and risk and step out in faith, the morality of our children will pay the price.
Good. That's amazing, Tesmi. I want a last question as we conclude. Thank you again for your time. We're great to hear some insights. I can speak for another hour on this because it's really it's fascinating. I think we need to help people. Talk to the audience as we close today that are listening and watching us. That one knee you go down to inspire a child tell somebody, inspire somebody today, just as we conclude about that dreaming big, that dreaming. I know I'm bragging about you today because I invited you here because I want people to know, first to get to know who you are and to understand that there's a career option in this, but also as you are a great member of the church, you're always in church when you're not out traveling around the world, you serve in the church, you are part of the local church, you're in home cells and that grounding. But talk to a young person today, whatever, maybe a 68-year-old Colonel Sanders potentially listening today, about that dream dream big and step out and to risk more for God. Inspire them just one last time, and then I'm going to give all your details, and they can come on. You can get some more followers today.
I mean, if you want to, of course. Don't always say people to follow me. But, with that, first off, the hard truth is that, and it's not a hard truth, honestly, it's a reality. Do not become entitled. It's not about you. It's about encouraging those around you, young children, young boys and girls at risk now more than ever before. It's your job to step out and to really stand in the gap for them. Think beyond yourself. There's a world outside of yourself. Just remember that. Yes, sustain yourself. Yes, you want to be financially blessed and thrive, but to have $1 million is not a dream. What are you going to use the $1 million for? Right. That's the thing. And to round off with that is just remember, only as high as you reach can you grow. Only as far as you seek can you go. Only as deep as you look can you see. Only as much as you can dream can you be. So reach high, reach far, and go deep, and keep dreaming. Amen.
Ryan Lombard, you see, that's why he makes great content, because he had us all listening to him, gripping us with his words. Listen, I want to say to you, obviously, knowing you well and seeing your journey as well, and I remember the time when we stood in church one day and you had a few 100,000 followers on TikTok, and to see your progression over the last few years has been amazing. And I want to say to you, stay authentic. We love you lots, and it's great to see your journey. By the way, any sort of, can I punch you a little bit to some woman that maybe wants to marry you one day, or is it okay? No, so they can DM you, they can slide into your DMs and they can sort of contact you. So no loving the life at the moment, is it? Okay, so we're going to pray for that as well, so that you will start to, maybe you'll have a middle brother and a middle sister, something like that. Like one of these days, you can add your new wife or fiance soon to your skits. So, listen, I want to say to you as well, continue shining your light for Jesus out there in the marketplace, and may your channels grow, exceedingly abundantly above, as we as a move are going to overflow. May you continue to overflow. What are some of your goals? I mean, Instagram, we want to hit what, 1.5, 2 million next? Is that the next goal? You almost said 1 million, so let's say 2 million.
Here we go.
Where are we going for YouTube?
10 million.
10 million. And then TikTok, 20 million. We're going to double that? Come on.
Amen.
So we're going to see that. We want to see that, because your influence is going to grow. And I think I want to just say to you as well, may you long continue to influence many more people. May many more people be inspired by you. And one day we're going to hear about the fact that I listened to this podcast, or I watched him on social media, and his words inspired me. That little child in the mall that may be going through battles, that your testimony will shine a light. And I want to encourage more people listening today and watching today to say that don't underestimate the gift that God's placed in you. You've got a gift, you've got a fingerprint, it's authentic. There's some dormant gifts lying in people. And social media is a great platform. It's a great channel to express that. And you can turn that into a business if it's authentic, and it'll last long generations. I mean, when you and I are not here one day, your content's still going to be available. People are still going to laugh at your jokes when you're not here. And that's the power of social media. And I think people need to realize that you can make a career out of this now, because the creative economy is there. So thank you so much for your time. For those of you that don't know, Ryan HD Lombard is on all your channels. Ryan HD Lombard. There's not any. YouTube's different from Instagram.
All the same.
So Ryan HD Lombard. Come on, give Ryan a follow if you haven't seen his content. It's great. If you are a middle brother, hang in there. It's going to be a bit brutal on some of his stories, but he means well by that. And some great content. So awesome having you with us today. Thank you so much for your time. And again, if this episode has blessed you, if you feel somebody needs to hear this, share this with your friends. It's free. This channel, Leader Breeder, exists in order to help us develop our leadership voices. Come on. Our future is bright. Our future is great. Can't wait to be with you next year as well. Our last episode for 2023. We're ready for 2024. Going to be an amazing year. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next month on Leader Breeder. Be blessed. Amen.